Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to the show. Got my cousin with me, Darnell, and I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 104th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. It's a must that we get right into March Madness, so we're about to just get right into this tournament, man. It's been a little bit since we talked about it, but man, just what are your thoughts on this tournament so far? Is this the craziest tournament you ever seen?
I would have to say so. We've had some crazy ones with like George Mason going deep and stuff like that. But I mean, you got a tournament where it's 16 beat 1, which a lot of people thought would never happen, but
Yeah,
of course it has. And you got this Loyola story, which is crazy. One side of the bracket is just chaos. The other side at least leveled out some with Villanova and Kansas. But this tournament has been pure chaos. It's been fun, for sure.
Yeah, man, I know for sure, man. I'm still getting into some NCAA basketball and stuff, but this is probably going to be the last time I pick Arizona's ass for that, man, because that was just nuts. With just how they were playing and everything. I knew like not Arizona, but Virginia with them. I knew their offense was people were questioning their offense and stuff, but I was not expecting them to get eliminated like that, man. So
this was the year most people thought like this was the team that could go make noise. I mean, they were scoring on people. They averaged almost 70 points a game, which is unreal for them. And then they still had that pressure deep.
Yeah.
I think they just came in thinking this game would be a cakewalk, and UMBC beat the brakes off of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Most people thought when if a 16 ever beat a 1, it would be off of some fluke last second shot, and the other team played a bad game or something like that. But no, like they mollywopped them.
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. Like I said it before, man. They call it March Madness for a reason, and it started off with a bang. So just been a fun tournament to watch. Also, man, I got to give props to Boeheim, man, with Syracuse. For the last couple of years, man, they weren't really making that much noise during the regular season. But him and his team, last year they had a pretty good spark in the tournament, and this year they were close to advancing to almost had Duke, but fell short, man. So it's another guy, man. I gotta check them out some more during March Madness because, they were kind of sleeping on them during the regular season. But, the guy finds a way to win, keeps finding a way to win for that team. So,
yeah, they started the year rough, and, I mean, they were one of the questionable teams about slipping in the tourney. But, I mean, they took the opportunity and ran with it.
Yeah. Now, just a question for you, man, because last time we talked about the tournament, I believe you and Tyler had Loyola, Chicago. You guys had them beating Miami, I believe. But, they made it this far. Just what, what was your reason behind that, man? What about their play or whatever? Just kind of caught your eyes that they were going to advance in the first round, and then
I just saw some random film on them and like seeing some games, and I've been hearing a lot of analysts big them up and how they play, and and seeing just they're a well coached team, they're put together well, and like I know they were up and down during the year, but. And it's just, I don't know, just had that feeling that they would be one of those teams. I didn't expect them to make it all the way to the Final Four, but I just thought for sure they would make some noise in the first round, maybe be able to get past 2 rounds before the talent level is too much for them. But they have they've gone well beyond what I expected of them.
Yeah. Well beyond a lot of people expected of them. So it's they're looking pretty good, man. We're going to touch on them a little bit later with their matchup against Michigan. But let's get right into your squad, man. Michigan State. just so how are you feeling about your squad, man? Really think you probably be a little bit disappointed, and especially the last game with kind of how Bridges and everybody played. But just what were your thoughts on the squad this year?
I mean, it was a failure of a season. Even though they only lost four regular season games, everybody came back to win a championship, and they didn't get anywhere near it. They lost in the second round. So yeah, I have no problem saying for a team with that much talent, this was a failure of a season.
Yeah. Now, how are you feeling about Izzo, man? Because he's Mr. March Madness. He's making always he gets to the Final Four and whatnot. It seems with him. Last year they had an early exit. This year had an early exit. Many people expected them to win a championship. And then you had the whole allegations come out with the whole sexual assault issues and everything going on with him too. Just how are you just feeling about Izzo right now with just kind of like the disappointment and everything that's been going on with him the last couple of years?
Last kind of gave a pass just because the team was super young. It was like their whole starting lineup was freshmen, so I thought they did well enough for what they were. 2 years ago was the bummer when they lost in the first round with the Valentine-led team.
Yeah, but that's right. Yeah, Valentine.
Yeah. But I mean, this game against Syracuse, this was probably the worst Izzo coach game I've ever seen. There was no adjustments made. I'm confused at how he didn't play Nick Ward or Jaren Jackson really at all. It felt like it just didn't seem like his head was in the game for some reason. He just no adjustment to try to deal with that zone. When the threes stopped falling, he didn't do anything to make it right. Yeah. So that was very disappointing to see that. And then just his selection of just what players to have in at certain times. It was honestly, it was just baffling to me. Was seeing, like I said, just not if he thought something was an issue with playing Langford and Ward together against that. Like, I don't get why he wouldn't shift Bridges down to the 4 and play with one of those two in the game. But he got too stuck in the ground with what he wanted to do, and I think that was just a big issue for him.
Yeah,
you have 2 first-round picks. You got to have them in the game, and you have to put them in position to win games for you.
Yeah,
the threes weren't falling. I think they shot like 20% from 3. So that's where you have to try to do something to work inside on them, and they were getting Syracuse's big guys in foul trouble, so I don't know why he didn't just force the issue.
Yeah, man. It was it was a very competitive game. Both teams played sloppy, but when I just saw that they were just letting Syracuse just hang on, I was like, man, if they keep letting this team just hang on like that, Syracuse is going to end up winning, and that's what happened. To stick with Michigan State's talent, I think they should have definitely had I'm not going to say breeze, but they should have played a whole lot better than what they did. I was very shocked by that, especially with Bridges' play.
Yeah. Well, Izzo didn't do anything to force him to be motivated. He let the whole team get laxed and comfortable just jacking up threes.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think if they put Bridges at the 4 and put him at the high post, where for some reason he was letting Ben Carter, a senior forward that he didn't play a ton the whole year, but somehow decided to give him major minutes and no production. I don't get why you wouldn't put Bridges there and force him to get into the middle of that zone, to force either the big guys to come up or the guards to sag more and give you better looks for those threes, so maybe something falls, or easy looks down into the post to either Jackson or Ward, whoever they would have had in. It was just, and I'm not a coach by any means, but that just seemed clear to me. Like, why wouldn't you do something like that? You put your best players in position to do things for you, not let them be comfortable just jacking up threes.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Now, news just came out that Bridges, he's decided to go to the NBA draft. How you feel about that, man? I recognize Bridges is one of the best players out there, but still, to me, I kind of feel like his season this year has kind of been somewhat of a disappointment, man. I don't know if we just seen the best of Bridges, his full potential come out yet. With this season, obviously with the NBA, you're going to be making money, and you could definitely develop in the NBA. But just how do you just feel about him going to the draft? Would you like to see him go another year at State and see if he could reach that full potential, or just how you feeling about that?
I mean, of course, if he decided to come back, I would have been overjoyed. But do I think it was something he should have done? No. I was shocked when he came back last year.
Yeah,
honestly. Yeah. He has an NBA body. He's a big wing. There's some stuff he has to work on. His long range shot is not consistent. He'll need to work on that, and I think he needs to work on his handle a little bit, because I think that was one of the struggles he had in late game. If he had a reasonable on-ball defender on him, he seemed to have trouble getting to the rack as athletic as he is. So there's some things to work on. I think he'll probably be a late lottery pick, so somewhere in that 14 to 17 range for a pick.
Okay.
This season, I wanted to see improvement, so maybe he jumped up to be a top 10 type pick. Yeah. But he'll make some money, and like I said, I think some teams will be interested in that athletic ability, seeing what they can do with it and mold it. But it was time for him to go. I have no issue with it.
Yeah. Now, is there a team in the NBA that you think would suit him pretty well, just with his play and everything, or you just think he'd be a good match anywhere, or what?
I don't know if I would probably just have to look at some more NBA teams just to see where he would fit. Yeah. I think he needs a stronger personality coach that will, get up in his face and get him motivated, because I think that's an issue. And even though he had a strong-willed coach like that with Izzo, sometimes I don't feel like Izzo picked the right times to do it. But I think he needs a coach that will be, or at least teammates that'll be in his face to make sure he stays in the game, because he's too talented to, kind of sag off and be fine taking jump shots like he does at times.
Yeah, I can agree with that. All right, now another player that's made a name for himself this year is Trae Young. What are your thoughts about him going into the draft? He was playing spectacular, man. I don't know if it was just his condition or what, but he started to die off a little bit during the end of the regular season, and then you had the early exit for Oklahoma in the tournament. So just what are your thoughts on just his stock right now going to the NBA draft?
As of right now, I do feel like he's still like a top 3 type pick. He showed too much during the early season not to be. I just think kind of having to have the team on his back every game caught up to him.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if that's conditioning or it's just he actually just had to do too much and it kind of broke him down.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers he was putting up just seemed
ridiculous.
Not sustainable unless your name is Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
He's not one of those type of otherworldly athletes that's like built to play for 30 years like Westbrook or LeBron or something like that. He's slender and in build and everything. He doesn't have his NBA body yet.
Yeah.
So they'll take some work there, but I definitely think he's still one of the first 2 or 3 names taken, if not the first.
Yeah.
So I don't think he hurt himself. I just think he didn't have enough talent around him, and just the weight of putting 10 other guys on his back just caught up to him.
Yeah, can agree with that for sure. Now, as far as the tournament goes, do you feel as if there are any players that made a great name for themselves in this tournament?
Funny enough, no, just because of how wacky this tournament was. Like with how many of the lower seeds that won, like they're good stories, but I don't think there was any players that emerged outside of just what we expect and know.
Yeah.
As far as what's coming out, I don't think there's just like, oh, one of these kids from Loyola, like somebody may have snuck into the end of the first round or is now a draft pick outside of not having a chance to get drafted or even make a G League team or something like that. But no, I don't feel like anybody who's just like, okay, this player has arrived or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think the draft, the players that are coming out are still basically what they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the exact same way, man. Usually like a tournament like this, it's a great way to see players who just aren't known that much, or just guys are just like right on the peak of possibly making it going pro or things like that, to see them just make a name for themselves. But just kind of like how I'm looking at it now, man, it just seems like the year, just the teams that like a lot of people just weren't expecting to just do great things, whether upsetting a number one seed in the first round, or just like a Loyola Chicago going in there and making it this deep. So that's just my key takeaway. It was just more, instead of a player focusing on players, it was just like just like a team theme going into this tournament. So
yeah.
No, all right. Well, let me say this before we get into these games, man. I had a chance to check out that Zion Williamson guy and his highlights. That guy's absolutely insane, man. That dude's highlight reel looks like a freaking NBA Street Volume 3 gameplay or something, man. Like you doing game breakers or some shit out there, man. Like that is just crazy. Just that guy's athleticism and just explosiveness. So, that's going to be a guy I'm going to be willing to check out, next year for sure. But I just had to say that, man, because that guy's just insane. I was going on Twitter. I was like, man, Zion Williamson, who the hell is this guy? And yeah, that guy's the man. So I'm definitely going to be checking him out next year for sure. See what he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
But let's get into these games, man. We'll save Michigan for last. For my man Ty's sake. So let's get right into Kansas and Villanova. Villanova's favorite in this one. But just what are your thoughts on this matchup between Kansas and Villanova this Saturday?
I mean, this is, if you are one that doesn't like a lot of upsets or something like that, this is the game you're waiting for. I mean, this is two powerhouse teams, it's 2 1 seeds going at it. I'm pretty sure that's why this is the two. Because this is the one where you got more household names, so you're gonna, more people are probably gonna tune in for this one. I know the loyal story, but you got a game with Villanova and Kansas, two teams with a great pedigree to them. This is what everybody's getting ready to look at. You got Devontae Graham on one side, who's been a beast all year, and then Jalen Brunson. You got some really nice guard play shaping up to go up against each other.
Who do you got in this one, man?
I'm going to go with Villanova.
Villanova?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with the same, man. I just, Kansas is looking good. You can never just count them out, man. But how I'm thinking, I think it's either going to be Villanova or whoever wins this game out of between Kansas and Villanova. I think they're going to end up winning it all. But just both of these teams, man, they could just play. I just like the teamwork, man, how the guys just go out there and can just ball. But just kind of like the experience between these two teams just being in there and like that, it's just going to be a fun matchup. And like I said, whoever wins this one, I think is going to win it all. But yeah, I think Villanova's going to come out on top between them and Kansas too. So
yeah, I would agree with that. And then just out of two, I think Villanova has a little bit more of an offensive punch to them, which is what I think will carry him.
Yeah. All right, now, well, first, man, before we get into this game, just what were your just thoughts on Michigan making it this far, man?
I'm not shocked. I mean, if you remember when we talked about the seeding for everything and the interstate complaints about Michigan not playing in Detroit, my thing was be happy. You have a better route. Yeah, and it played out.
Very true.
Things fell in place for them. Not saying that it was just simple for them to get there, but they got to play some and made their way through to get here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't go wrong with that at all, man. I know a lot of people was complaining about them not being in Detroit, but I think they had the best bracket to play in, just in terms of them just advancing, with just how everything went down in that particular region. So it's worked out for them great so far, man. Just have to see if they can keep knocking down those buckets and everything, and see if they can potentially win this, man. But they've been playing some great basketball.
Yeah, and I gotta give Beeline some props. He's been coaching his tail off this year.
Yeah,
I think he did just win a Coach of the Year award, and he definitely deserves it. More like all kinds of props to him. Rivalry aside, and me hating the school, he's a good coach and he's a good guy.
Yeah, you think he's kind of he's making a name for himself, but you still think he's kind of like a underrated coach. In a way, because I mean, like Michigan, they won the Big Ten last year, but coming into this, a lot of people didn't really have a lot of expectations, for him. They thought Michigan State, had it locked and everything. He ended up winning again, the Big Ten again, and then going, making it this far into the, tournament. So you think he's, underrated, or you think like right now, like you just have to like admit that he's like one of the hottest coaches out there right now? Or how do you
I mean, anybody that's like keyed in, they know he's a good coach. But if I can make a comparison to my school, I feel like he's a lot like Coach D'Antonio. He doesn't have to get the best recruits, but he molds his team into how he wants them to play, and they come out and do big things for him. I mean, this is his second Final Four. If he wins, it'll be his second national title game.
Yeah,
I know he'll hope for a better outcome than the first one, but yeah, he knows what he's doing. And people can't deny this guy. He's a great coach.
Yeah. Now let's just get right into this game, man. Loyola Chicago versus Michigan. Michigan's the home crowd, man. But like I said, I think whoever wins out of Kansas and Villanova, I think they're gonna win it all. But I'm rooting for the underdog in Loyola, man. They just came out of nowhere. But just thoughts on this good matchup, man.
I mean, it's interesting just because, like I said, Michigan is in a roster full of 5-star recruits, but one would assume that they have more talent than this Loyola team. But Loyola's gotten this far, and they play some good ball. I mean, they play really good defense. They're always game and getting after people. I think this is actually two pretty good defensive teams going against each other. They're kind of molded in similar ways. But I just have to think Michigan has a little more talent. So I'm also rooting for the underdog and rooting against the school that I'm not a big fan of.
About to say, man, you ain't going to have the Go Blue shirt on for the...
No. I won't openly root against since my wife went there. But if they win, I will congratulate. I'm not a complete hater.
Yeah.
And I do think they'll win this game. If I had to put money down, I'm picking Michigan.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way, man. I just think, just with the schools and everything, I think Michigan, they have the more talent and everything like that. They got a great coach, and everything. And, Loyola, I'm going to be rooting for them, but I just think how everything's set up, I just think Michigan's a better team. But Loyola, they've been beating everybody else that's been coming through their way. So if they've done it before, they could do it again against this Michigan team. But this is going to be a good one to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Now, out of these two, you think which one you think is going to be the more entertaining one to watch? You think Kansas and Nova?
Oh yeah, I'm more keyed up to watch that. You got NBA players on those two teams going against each other. You might have one NBA talent right now between these two teams, and that's a late pick too in Moak Wagner.
Yeah,
let me say it right.
Yeah. All right. Now, anything else, man, for NCAA basketball before we move on?
Nah, just like you said, this has been the craziest tournament ever. The only thing that can make it crazier would be Loyola winning it all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, just really impressed with this one, man. Like, I really got into the tournament a couple years ago, man, and this one just takes the cake. You really got to be keyed in on those games, man, because you'll never know what exactly is going to go on. So this has just been it's been a painful one to watch because of the brackets, but just like in terms of just eye candy, this has just been a good one just to look at with just how these teams have just came out there and just balled out like they have. So just looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, for NBA, we're about to get right into Joel Embiid. I just found out that he had a orbital fracture, and he's going to be out. I think they were saying about 2 to 4 weeks.
2 to 4 weeks,
yeah. And this team, they secured a spot in the playoffs, man. So just what do you think about this whole Joel Embiid injury, and how do you think that's going to end up affecting this 76ers team?
I mean, you said they've locked up a spot. Is for sure for them?
Let me check to make sure, but I believe they had. Yep, they have.
So I mean, that's at least it's not a big blow that will cost them there.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't want one of your best players sitting on the sideline and possibly coming into the playoffs rusty, especially since it's such a young team.
Yeah.
But it's seeing that it's an orbital bone.
Yeah.
That's rough. Just because you hope it's not. He probably will have to wear a mask, I assume, when he comes back.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't bother him or anything. But this is a team with a lot of upside. You're seeing what the future could be for them. They've gotten themselves. They're up in the 4 spot right now, so they'll have a home playoff series at first. So I think they'll want to try to hold on to that because
Indiana's right behind. Right behind them with half a game.
So that's the big thing there. Just can they hold on and win enough games to stay in that top 4 so they can at least have a home series for their crowd?
Yeah. That'll be good for the city of Philly, man. Because I was remember when they were just
Super Bowl.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So you can't really top that. But just in terms of NBA, just looking at just how this team was just tanking and everything was getting annoying. But when you just saw all those pieces come together, like the Embiid, Ben Simmons, Fultz just came back. He had a good game, come back from his injury and everything. So those guys, man, they're young right now. A lot of people are not expecting them to head to the finals or anything like that. But just how this team is built, they're definitely going to be the future if they can just keep playing together and can max out their full potential. With Simmons and Embiid and Falls, this can really be a dangerous team, really dangerous team going forward. But just in terms of that, man, just with this injury, it's pretty much a blow for the team, because whenever you could have a guy like Embiid not being out there on the court, that really just changes everything. So it's going to be tough. Just like I said, just hopefully they can get that home court so they can go out there, man, have the crowd behind them and everything like that for potentially 4 games in Philly. So just have to see, man. But that's definitely a blow with the playoffs being right around the corner. So it's definitely got to be frustrating for the squad. Now, got to talk about my man Kawhi, too, with his injury, man. He's had teammates, Tony Parker, coming out saying that, hey, man, my injury was a lot worse than his, and, so forth. They're having teams meetings, talking about, encouraging him to come back. Just crazy, man. Just what were your thoughts just on this whole Kawhi Leonard situation? You think he's actually hurt, or you think he's like still having a problem with the Spurs organization? Like, what are your thoughts right now, man? How do you feel?
I mean, it's hard to speculate. Of course, you don't want to say somebody's faking an injury, but is he waiting till he's absolutely 100% to come back instead of coming back when he could at 85, 90% to help this team? It's definitely a possibility. And, just the way things have gone, there's definitely some bad blood that has been built between Kawhi and the Spurs, or him and Pop, however this is going. But yeah, there's something there where it seems like he's not in any rush to come back any earlier than when he's absolutely healthy, or after, apparently.
Yeah.
That bridge is that burnt.
Yeah, so I feel the exact same way as you, man. Like I said, my nickname is for Kawhi is Silent Assassin. He goes out there, handle business, not really that social, anything like that. So it's hard to, evaluate or find out, what's going on through a person's mind or anything like that when they're just remaining silent and everything like that. So some people were saying, his uncle, has something to do with this. Some people saying that, Kawhi wants out of the Spurs. I don't know what's going on with it, man. I just know that, the dude's a beast. And, he's a fun guy to watch out on that court. So, hopefully whatever's going through, whether it's a team situation or whether he just wants to be 100%, because you really got to be careful with those hamstrings and those quad injuries, man, because, if they're not 100%, one move that could really set you back a couple weeks or so. So it's, I could definitely understand coming from him if he wants to be 100% out there, because, those quads and hammies and stuff like that are absolutely no joke. So I could definitely understand where he's coming from there. But really miss seeing the guy on the court this year. So just hopefully, whatever situation, whatever the problem is, hopefully it could be resolved in a good manner.
Yeah, and I mean, just crazy to see this coming out of the Spurs organization. It was basically the NBA's version of the Patriots.
Yeah.
Where just absurdities don't happen.
Yeah. But I still, man, like I said it before too, man, I got to give Pop his credit, man. It just really shows just how great of a coach he is. When you can get a guy like Kawhi pretty much being out the season. He played a few games, but whenever you got a guy like him that could adjust, and still, they could still miss the playoffs. They got a spot right now, but whenever he can just adjust and have the guy still competing for a playoff spot with Kawhi being out like that, man, it really just shows how great of a coach Pop is. So,
sure,
yeah. Now we're about to talk about the Golden State Warriors, having quite a few injuries right now, man. Steve Kerr came out and said Steph is going to possibly miss the first round of the playoffs. I think Draymond's dinged up. Klay Thompson has had issues with his thumb, and I think KD's having a problem too. how concerned are you with this Warriors team, man? A lot of people expected them to have the number one spot, but it looks like the Houston Rockets are going to end up securing it soon. So, just how concerned are you with this Warriors team? Is there no concern? Just how you feeling, man?
There's definitely concern. I mean, when your best four players are all dealing with something, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not like the world is gonna end right now because of it. As long as they can all get back in time for the first round series, I do think they can probably pop whoever they get in the first round, even if it's as long as they can get three of them back and healthy.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm cutting it. I do think they need either Steph or KD, and along with Clay and Draymond to get by that first round series. I do think they need one of their stars along with their two alpha dogs. Well, one of their two alphas as far as scoring, and then their leader on the court, which is Draymond. I do think they need some semblance of that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you don't like to see a team with, you only have so much talent on the team, and it's those four guys who are all stars, all-star caliber players in their own right. Yeah, you can't have everybody hurt.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that, man. I'm just trying to find out, like, what's up with Steph Curry getting injured. Like, it seems like he's always getting injured like a week or so right before the playoffs, man. Like, he's having some type of injury he's dealing with before that. Like, I know it's a long season, stuff like that. You're definitely not going to be 100% coming at the end of the year, especially when it comes to playoff time. But it's kind of just crazy, man, how he's kind of had to deal with these injuries and such when it comes to playoff time right there. So, good. Like I said, I'm not big on the Warriors. I understand that they are a dominant team. Many people are expecting them to win championship this year, but those guys are fun to watch. I have to admit that. So it's definitely going to help to have those pieces back together. So just hopefully everything works out good for them. Now, just to touch on this playoff situation in the West, man, this is very close when it comes to the teams. Right now, I'll say the 5 through 8 spot. We have New Orleans, San Antonio, Minnesota, and Utah. New Orleans and San Antonio, they're 18 games back, and Minnesota 18 and a half, and Utah with 19 back from the number one spot. And then at the 9 and 10 spot, you have the LA Clippers and Denver. The Clippers, they're 20 games back, so they're 1 game back from the 8th spot, and Denver 2 games back from the 8th spot. What do you think, man? Do you think the Clippers or Denver could possibly overtake any of those 5 through 8 teams in there to possibly get a spot, or you think it's pretty much secure between 5 through 8, or what?
I won't say no. I mean, anything's possible, but I mean, Denver, one of their better players is dealing with an injury. He's missed, I think, the last 4 games for him. And then the Clippers, just like, who do they have that really just steps up and can take over a game?
Yeah, that's
not DeAndre Jordan. So
yeah.
So I guess
Austin Rivers, man.
Yeah, right. So I guess I'm just not feeling it from them.
Yeah.
I do like the talent on Denver when they're totally healthy. I think they would have a shot at doing this, but due to them having an injury to one of their better scorers / shooters,
yeah,
I figure the top 8 probably stays as it is.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way, man. I think if anybody was to do it, I just think it would probably be the Clippers, man, just because, Doc Rivers, he's a great coach. I think he'll find a way to pull his team together and do that. just with the pieces that he has. But I don't think that's going to end up happening. With Minnesota, San Antonio. No, San Antonio, they're banged up, but man, I just believe in Pop. I think he's going to find a way to make sure his team ends up making getting a spot in the playoffs. And New Orleans, got to give a shout out to AD, man. Always concerned with him getting banged up and having injuries during the season. But when Boogie went down, I knew that this guy's numbers was going to shoot up like a rocket, and they did, man. AD just took over and has that team secure with the fifth spot right now. So I like these teams right now that are in the 5 through 8 spot. I think they're going to end up securing it. And make sure that the Clippers and Denver stay out of the playoff picture for this season. So I agree with you there, man. I think right now the 5 through 8 teams, I think those are going to be the teams that are going to end up making the playoffs. So, all right, now anything else for the NBA?
No, I'm just kind of ready for the playoffs to get here.
Yeah. Well, just real quick, man. Just how happy are you that your dog Kid's going into the Naismith Hall of Fame?
Well, definitely deserving. So happy for him. He gets his place with all the greats. I just hope he's not once again incorrectly overshadowed by the other point guard that's getting in with him.
Hey man, listen, I think Kid was a better player than Nash just all around, man, but I think Nash is probably going to be the one to headline it. Like I like Nash and I like Kid. So, I mean, both of them are dogs, but, I would have to admit, man, I think Kid, what he was able to do, man, on offense, one of the best, 3-point shooters, is Kid, man, but how he was able to just, take control of the offense, man. When he was get on that fast break, dude was just unstoppable. His speed, his passes, and the thing that really separated him from Nash, man, was his defense. Kid was just tenacious on D. So he could do it all, man. But I think Nash is going to be the guy that's going to be the one headlining it. So hate to say it, but
I wouldn't doubt it either. It's just, like I said, it's annoying just knowing that one is clearly a better player than you. Somehow, Nash gets so much credit.
Yeah. I will say this too, man. I was on Twitter. You shouldn't really take, every stuff that a lot of people say on Twitter, to heart. A lot of people are just crazy as hell. But, I disagree with a lot of people saying that Grant Hill shouldn't have, made it to the Hall of Fame. Now, you were questioning whether he should have been a first ballot guy or not. I can understand that. But just me, man, growing up, dude, like I remember, man, when I first got into the NBA, man, it was like Grant Hill and Kobe Bryant. Those were my two dudes growing up, man. And, Grant Hill, he had those injuries and stuff. I really do, man. I personally believe if he didn't have those injuries, I think he could have been better than Kobe Bryant. I mean, the dude was just phenomenal in terms of him just scoring. He like you said it before, man, but he was LeBron before LeBron came into the NBA, man. He was doing it all. He was passing, he was getting boards, scoring the ball, man. He was doing it all. But it's good to see him get into there as well. Just because he was just a huge part of my childhood growing up, watching him rock with the Pistons when he was growing up. So it's just cool to see him in there, but I really think he should have made it to the Hall of Fame. Now, whether you want to think he wants to be a first ballot or whatever, I can understand that just with the injuries and how everything went down with his career. But if you truly witnessed that guy when he was just starting to reach his prime before the injuries and everything like that, you truly would understand just how great of a player he was and how great he really could have been if it wasn't for those ankles that he had.
Yeah, and I have no problem with him making it first ballot. Like I said, we talked about it offline. I said talent-wise, there's no doubt he's the Hall of Famer. I'm surprised he was the first ballot just because, like how you were talking about just on Twitter feeds, I know just some people just question it because, he had such a short peak in the NBA, and then once that first ankle injury happened, it kind of just went downhill from there until he leveled off a little bit for his last 3 years to where he was a still serviceable player.
Yeah,
but just not where he was.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I have no issue with him making it just because I mean, like you, I watched him too since he was a Piston here, and dude was great.
Yeah. So, but I will never forget though, man. You know, you want to talk about super teams, but possibly having him, Tracy McGrady, and Tim Duncan, but Tim Duncan couldn't fly the family on the plane, man. So that's why he didn't end up going to Orlando. But dude, if that would have happened, that would have been a sick roster.
But, oh yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah. So just had to put that out, man. But anything else to add for NBA or basketball?
Nah.
Yeah. All right. Something else we're about to just touch on, just this whole Michael Bennett situation. It's kind of just pissed me off, man, with what was going on with him, particularly this whole situation of him getting arrested and everything. But just what were your thoughts on this whole Michael Bennett situation?
Just kind of crazy. Unbelievable, I guess, is the main thing I can say for right now. It doesn't fit his character for what we know Michael Bennett to be. Yes, he's a football player. It's a violent sport, but this is one guy, as far as like the causes he sticks up for, his charitable donations, all that he and his brother just do for communities.
I did not know they were brothers. Just real like, I just found that. I was like, oh, that's his brother? And I was like, oh. So, yeah, I just found that out. Yeah, I did not know that. But, yeah, go ahead, man.
But, I mean, just with all of that, this just isn't something that fits his character. It seems like it's motivated in other ways. So I'm just going to have to let this one play out. I mean, if he did what he's accused of, it's horrible. But it's just, as of right now, it just doesn't seem believable.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with this, man. I just look at the whole state of, just with the whole police brutality, what he was kneeling for, and everything like that with Kaepernick, man. I just find this absolutely hard to believe that when you literally have black people getting shot and killed for having a cell phone in their hand, you getting black women getting arrested for failure to turn on a signal, and such like that. If a police officer saw Bennett, hurt that woman in any way, shape, or form, I really could not see or expect them to wait 14 months to arrest the guy or charge him for that situation. I just find that absolutely hard to believe. And especially with Bennett's charitable work and what he stands up for, I just find this to be absolutely outrageous. And the thing that really upsets me and pisses me off the most about this is that police chief, where they said, they don't have any evidence on the guy. They're like, there's no video footage of him harming that woman or anything. And like the police chief is just making this guy out to be a complete monster.
Yeah, basically charging him or convicting him without any proof.
Yeah, exactly. And so for you to convict somebody and, call this guy a monster or whatnot, and you don't have any proof on him whatsoever, you're just going by somebody's word, I think that's absolutely terrible. And I think if he's able to beat this and everything like that, I seriously believe that there needs to be some type of investigation into that police department, because if they are out here, convicting people that they don't have any evidence of whatsoever, trying to portray people as criminals, ain't no telling who else they could have done that to. I just find that to be absolutely outrageous that you're going by somebody's word. You don't have any evidence about them on them whatsoever. And for you to sit up there and portray the individual as a monster or, whatever, I just think that's absolutely outrageous. I understand that police officers, they have a job that they have to do, and such. But, to make this guy to be out a monster when you don't even have any evidence, pretty much guilty until proven innocent. I think that's just an absolute disgrace. So.
Well, yeah, and I mean, just to lead to not having proof, this supposedly happened at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, do you know how many cameras?
Yeah.
Like everybody, like there's cameras on the field. People, the fans are filmed. Like that just blows my mind. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so either he's Houdini or I don't know what.
Yeah, man. So I just I appreciate what he was able to do, man, for him to take his stance that he did, especially just for Black community, what's going on just with police brutality and such, man. Just his charitable work, just outside of his kneeling and everything like that. I really appreciate him, and I wish him the absolute best. So I just think this is just an absolute disgrace. But I think he's gonna pull through. I think he's just gonna win this. So I just ask him to just stay strong and just keep his head up, But outside of that, man, anything else you would like to add before we close this out?
Nah, we covered it.
All right. Did a thing. This went pretty smooth, but as always, guys, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to the show. You can find this podcast on iTunes, Twitter, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud. Just hit us up in that search engine. We should pop up. Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. Also, feel free to check us out on Twitter at DKM_cast. We'd love to hear from you guys from there. But till then, we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.